What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm doing race 6 for the 2024 Brickyard 400. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. This weekend, the NASCAR Cup Series makes its long-awaited return to the Indianapolis Oval for this year's Brickyard 400. The last time we ran the Brickyard 400 was only back in 2020, and we saw Kevin Harvick be able to go on and get that win. He will not be back this time around, as Kevin Harvick has retired since the last time he won the Brickyard 400. We make a return to the illustrious Indianapolis Oval. So now, let's go ahead and jump into picks. But before we go ahead and jump into picks, let's take a look at the weather for this weekend. So the weather for this weekend is looking extremely promising. It's going to be 84 degrees a high with 65 degrees low front, only a 10% chance of rain with mostly cloudy skies. Going to be pretty cloudy, but the weather should be really good for head out in Indianapolis. It's not going to be super hot. It's going to be some pretty nice weather during the time out at this year's Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So now, let's go ahead and jump into picks. For those who are new to the channel, here's how picks work. I usually do 2 suck picks, 2 underdog picks, and a winner's pick, and usually 5 drivers need to watch out for. But because this is a crown jewel event, we're going to have 3 suck picks, 3 drivers I expect to struggle throughout the weekend who will not have a good run this weekend, 3 underdog picks, 3 drivers who really need a good run who I think are going to have a good run or in under front equipment who will be good at this type of track, and I do my winner's pick, the driver thinks can win the race, and I'll have 6 drivers need to watch out for along with the race winner. So now, let's go ahead and jump into picks. Who are my suck picks for the 2024 Brickyard 400? My first suck pick for this year's Brickyard 400 is a driver of the A car for Richard Childress Racing, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has been on the worst stretch of his NASCAR Cup Series career up to this point. I think he's only had 1 or 2 top 15 finishes in the last 6 or 7 races and has only had 1 top 10. That coming, I think he hasn't even had a top 10 in a very, very long time. Either been involved in wrecks, been wrecked by people, had engine failures, they had to change something before the race started at Pocono. It's just been a major struggle so far for Kyle Busch this year. He's really looking to turn around. He has won the Brickyard a couple times in the past, back in 2015, 2016, but I don't expect Kyle Busch to be a threat. I think he will unfortunately struggle this weekend at Indianapolis. My second suck pick for this year's Brickyard 400 is a driver of the 1 car for Trackhouse Racing, Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain has been struggling a little bit over the course of the last couple of weeks, and Rhino's sitting on the bubble in the playoffs. And last time we ran, which of course, last time he ran a track like this, which was Pocono, he didn't run very well and unfortunately crashed out. I think Ross is going to continue his struggles. I don't think his speed's there right now for him to be a playoff driver at this point. It's been a big struggle for Ross. I think he will sadly struggle this weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And my third and final suck pick for this week in Indianapolis is a driver of the 84 car for Legacy Motor Club, Jimmie Johnson. Yeah, unfortunately, I think Jimmie Johnson is not going to run well. Look, every time Jimmie Johnson is getting better at a track, he tends to get involved in a wreck or an incident. Jimmy hasn't been great here in recent years either, and I just don't expect much from the driver of the 84. I think he's going to sadly struggle. I think he's either getting caught up in an incident or wreck. I don't think he runs well. I think he unfortunately will end up struggling this weekend at this year's Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. And now we're going ahead and jump on the underdog picks for the 2024 Brickyard 400. Who are my underdog picks? My first underdog pick for this weekend at Indianapolis is the driver of the 23 car for 2311 Racing, Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace has been having a really good string of races as of late. He finished 7th in Nashville, finished 13th at Chicago, and finished 10th this past weekend at Pocono. And I feel like this 23 team is starting to get a little bit more stronger. I think Bubba Wallace is going to have a good chance for a top 5 or top 10. And the last time, or a couple years ago back in 2019, I think he got a top 5 at this track in the 43 car in not as good of a car. He's been solid at this track in recent years. So I think Bubba Wallace is going to have a very strong performance, and I think he will have a top 10 or top 5 run this weekend at Indianapolis. My second underdog pick for this weekend at Indianapolis is a driver of the 4 car for Stewart-Haas Racing, Josh Berry. Josh Berry is going to be driving the same car that Kevin Harvick drove, and like I mentioned earlier, Kevin Harvick is the last driver to win at this track. I think they're going to be able to use the same setups in a sense, and I think that's going to lead Josh Berry having a pretty good performance. This 14's been also getting into their stride. The pace and speed's been there. I think Josh Berry will have a pretty solid and pretty strong and great performance this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And my third and final underdog pick for this weekend at Indianapolis is a driver 77 car for Spire Motorsports, Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar has been very impressive throughout the 2024 season. He's had some pretty good performances. 2 top 10s, has been the strongest Spire driver overall so far this year. I think Carson Hocevar will have a pretty strong, great performance, and I think he'll have a good chance and opportunity for maybe a top 15 or top 10. I could see him definitely for sure being a surprise top 10 candidate this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And now we're going ahead and jump on to the winner's pick for the 2024 Brickyard 400. Who am I picking to win? This track is known for having, every time we come here, usually the guys that are contending for the championship tend to run up front. And I think it's going to be someone who is contending for the championship this year. The driver who I'm picking to win this weekend at Indianapolis is a driver who ran the Indy 500 earlier this year, and the driver of the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson is going to get his 4th win of the season. This 5 team's been one of the fastest teams consistently. They should have more wins than they've had this year. They probably should have won Iowa, and they were, if it had not been for a speeding penalty, Kyle Larson would have been up front contending for the win at Pocono. I think Kyle Larson gets it done this week, and I think this 5 team is going to be fast. I think Larson's going to be looking for redemption this time around. I think Kyle Larson will finally be able to get it done. I think Kyle Larson wins his first ever Brickyard 400 and picks up his 27th career Cup Series win this weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in that number 5 car. And now we're going ahead and jump on to drivers you need to watch out for this week at Indianapolis. Who should you have your eyes out on? The first driver to watch out for this week in Indianapolis is a driver of the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports, Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott has been super consistent throughout 2024, and last week at Pocono, I could argue he probably had the fastest car on the track. And this track is kind of similar to Pocono. So I think Chase Elliott's going to have a good chance and opportunity to contend for the win and victory. He's been close to winning a few races as of late. I think Chase Elliott will be a major threat, and I think he will be a contender for sure to get his first ever Brickyard 400 win this weekend at Indianapolis. The second driver to watch out for this week in Indianapolis is a driver of the 45 car for 2311 Racing, Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick has been super consistent throughout 2024 and currently sits only 11 points below the points lead. And I feel like this 45 team is starting to get a lot stronger as the year progresses and goes on. I think Tyler Reddick will have a good chance and opportunity to get the win and victory. I think it will be up front, and I think he'll have a good chance to get his second win of 2024 this weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The third driver to watch out for this weekend at Indianapolis is a driver of the 12th car for Team Penske, Ryan Blaney. The 12th team has been super fast over the course of the last 5 to 6 weeks. He won at Iowa Speedway, he should have won at Gateway, and he did get the win at Pocono. I think that Ryan Blaney will be a major threat and contender for the win and victory. Plus, they're going to basically the team's home track. Of course, Roger Penske owns the organization, of course, owns the track. I think Ryan Blaney will be a major threat and contender for the win this weekend at Indianapolis. The fourth driver to watch out for this week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a driver of the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin came very close to winning at this track multiple different times. He could have won this race in 2020, but of course had that flat tire. I think Denny Hamlin will be a threat for the win. I think he's going to have a good chance. He's been one of the fastest guys so far this year, and I think the fastest drivers will be contending for the win. I think Denny Hamlin will have a good chance and opportunity to become the first driver to win 4 races this year in 2024. The fifth driver to watch out for this weekend in Indianapolis is the driver of the 6th car for RFK Racing, Brad Keslowski. While Brad Keselowski hasn't had the finishes to show for, I feel like Brad has been consistently one of the 4 or 5 fastest cars on a given week. And Brad, of course, is a former winner of the Brickyard 400, going all the way back to 2018 when he drove the 2 car. I think Brad Keselowski is going to have a good chance and opportunity. It's been a long time since I think Roush has won at this track. I think that Brad Keselowski will be a threat and a major contender for the win this weekend in this year's Brickyard 400. And a 6th and final driver I think you should watch out for this year's Brickyard 400 is the driver of the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports, Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman has been starting to really put up a lot of great performances. He's got like 12 or 13 top 10s altogether this year, but not only that, the last 2 races. One at Chicago and finished 3rd at Pocono. And we're going a very similar track to Pocono. So I think Alex Bowman will be a major threat and contender for the win. I think the pace and speed is going to be there for Alex Bowman. I think he'll have a great chance and opportunity to pick up the victory in this year's Brickyard 400. So, those are my race picks for the 2024 Brickyard 400. Just a reminder, my suck picks are Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Jimmy Johnson. My underdog picks are Bubba Walsh, Josh Berry, Carson Hocevar. My winner's pick is Kyle Larson. And the ones to watch out for, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keslowski, and Alex Bowman. Those are my race picks. So, that is going to be it for the Race 6 video for the 2024 Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your picks below for this week in Indianapolis. Let me know your suck picks, let me know your underdog picks, let me know your winner's pick, and let me know your drivers you're watching out for this weekend at Indianapolis. Let me know your picks in the comments below. Later today on the channel, we'll have the paint scheme video for the 2024 Brickyard 400. And then on Friday, we'll have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. We'll talk about Kevin Harvick's comments about Hailie Deegan's future, among other things, including potential of going to new street courses as well. We'll also talk about other drivers on the channel as well, like Shane Van Gisbergen. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.